Hey peeps, Erin Zen Warrior again. I would totally be in bed right now, but the cat is sitting on me, and what we have discovered is that I am a sucker for the cat sitting on me. He's not really a lap cat, so I have this tendency to kind of leave him on me for as long as he likes, and it gets to the point where I really need to pee. Earlier today I did a slide out from under him just to leave him undisturbed because he sat on me, and I want him to keep sitting on me, so I didn't want to disturb him. The inner ear, I wanted to talk about this. So the 4323 is a pretty common channel. I see it quite a bit. And the 4323 is in the mind, Ajna Throat. So it's known as the channel of structuring, or the gunslinger is its kind of nickname, which means we kind of shoot from the hip. And if you have this consciously defined, you consciously activate it. If you have it unconsciously defined, that would be me, it just is always running and you don't even really think about it. There's a little hidden secret to this middle channel, the 4323 in the head, is that it's also the inner ear. So whilst it has a tendency to be a bit of a gunslinger, it can be a bit sharp, it also can hear when something is off. And one of the things that came up for me recently was someone being very certain about something and it just sounding off. Now, my mum has an undefined mind, and an undefined mind that holds certainty, even if the words are correct, it just sounds off in them. It's like the intonation is all wrong. And so I've literally heard my mother say something that my stepfather has said, and he has a defined mind, and it just sounds weird in her. It actually sounds like she's repeating what he said, which is quite likely the case in an undefined mind. It's quite likely the case that an undefined mind might be an echo chamber for someone else's thoughts and opinions, because it's meant to be open to everyone's thoughts and opinions to some extent. But when you hear them with certainty instead of with openness, talk about possibilities. So the undefined mind should really hold space for a lot of different ideas. So when they get too certain, it instantly sounds weird to my inner ear. So I love my mum dearly, and she's super awesome, and she's actually a very sharp woman. But when she gets certain, my inner ear goes, ugh. And I had this week with, if any of you saw that discussion, with the discussion that was going on Facebook as well, where to me there was an intonation that was off. And it just sounded incorrect. And it just sounded a little bit too certain in an incorrect way. And I did manage to verify that person had an undefined mind. What just happened to me now was I made a comment on something, and someone responded back, and the response in word form seemed a little bit off. And I was like, well, that was odd. That sounds a little bit like they got that information from AI. Okay, so I responded to clarify, and then what came out was a full AI response. And it was so clear to me, because once you start playing with AI, it has a pentameter to it, it has a rhythm to it, it has a balance to its structures. You play with it enough, you start to recognize it, and the inner ear goes, that wasn't human. And so it's an interesting one, right? Because as coaches, there's so much stuff. In the world that we're in, there's so much stuff. Everyone's starting to use AI to write. And when I looked at that second response, it was undoubtedly to me purely AI generated. I was like, if there is anything in there that has been adjusted by a human being, it is minor. And I could my inner ear just went, oh, no. And so it's an interesting quality of this inner ear, that it's not just sound, but it is sounds, but it's a frequency thing. So when something is off, that's communicated in any way, the inner ear either goes, yeah, that sounded good. That sounded resonant, harmonic. It sounded correct. And then in other situations, it's like, oh, no. So something to be aware of, I think, as coaches, that this is quite a common channel. And as anyone using AI, this is quite a common channel. And as people are starting to write whole books with AI now, there is something to be said for making sure that when you are using AI, that it has learnt your voice, that you tweak it and that you read it and that you go back over it. And I'm not saying don't use it. It's an amazing tool. But what I am saying is, and I mean, it can be wrong as well. And the first post that this person put up in response to mine, it was actually kind of wrong in what it said. And I was like, well, that's not actually quite what human design is. And so I corrected it. And then I was like, oh yeah, no, this is just not even a human I'm talking to. So imagine if I put up a post and you responded to it, and I took your response, put it in AI, generated a response and gave it back to you. Why the fuck are you even following me? So I love the 4323. You should be aware when you are writing stuff using AI that a lot of people have it, and that those people that value being spoken to by a human being are not going to value something that doesn't have your voice. And that doesn't mean you can't use AI. Just be aware of that. When it comes to certainty, people who use AI to write anything are lazy. I think it's a nuanced thing. And I would say, given that I started here, Dean, talking about certainty, I would say that's a very certain statement that from someone who does have certainty, because I have the defined mind, there are certain things I can be certain about. And there are certain things I can be certain about in the moment. Look, in 20 years' time, when everything is AI, this is not even a conversation to be having, And we live in a world that is so fast-paced. Like, what happened once upon a time and thanks for the comment, by the way, what happened once upon a time when we got computers, and, some of us were around to see those come into the school and then the workplace and then home, everybody has a computer at home and a computer in their pocket now. And we were told these were going to make life simpler. Well, I don't think that's the case. I've gotten to watch that. These made life incredibly complex. Everybody works more. Everybody has less connection. But at the time we thought differently. We were told and we believed what we believed. So, we look at AI now and we look at it in the current context and we go, it's lazy to use it. And I would say, well, there's a lot of fucking shit you got to get done, and there are certain things I care less about than others. Would I use AI in that situation? Yeah, I would. When I feel something is off, but I can't pinpoint it, do you know what? AI is a great way to pull something apart and go, what am I feeling here? Because I can see it, but I can't necessarily grab it. I'm not going to use AI. That's what my brain is for. I would argue, I don't know that I can say for certain. That's my certain mind going, there are areas I'm not going to be certain about this. My brain is for creating human connection. AI cannot do that for me. And so anywhere where I want to create human connection and also show my intelligence. Yeah, thank you. Dean just said, okay, that sounds good. And anywhere I want to show my intelligence, I can't do that with a machine. I can't connect with you with a machine. You can create stuff like this on AI now. I've had a friend I've been watching and he's just been like, I did that in a minute, and it's disturbing. But when you know them and when you know humanity and what humanity presents like, you're like, oh yeah, there's something off about that. But once upon a time, we used to notice Botox straight away, And now I remember watching the movie Heal and just being like, there's something really weird about these faces, these beautiful yogic women and Joe Dispenza in the background and stuff. And after all, I was like, their foreheads don't move at all. And we're so used to seeing Botox and inexpressive faces on so many levels. And people use Botox everywhere now. You see it walking around the streets in the gym every day, even here in New Zealand, because it's been around for so long. Most guys can't tell the difference. That's the discussion I have had. Yeah, it totally makes sense. You can't really connect with the machine, but that's AI now. What about learning AI? And I have a client who has tested out AI for, for counseling. And this is her area of work. She's not a young spring chicken or anything like that. She's been doing this for a long time. And she said, and she's not the first person to tell me this, she's not the only person to tell me this. She was the first. She said, I could not fault it. I kept trying to trip it up. Yeah. I kept trying to trip it up. And she said it didn't falter. I asked it some really curly questions and it gave a great answer every time. And I was like, that's wild. And for people who cannot afford therapy, people are now directing them towards AI. Oh yeah, that's wild, isn't it? Now, I had a recent experience with AI, and I think this is a great way to use it for business. Human design, you can generate reports using AI for human design, but when you do that, first of all, you need base text to feed it, which I have lots of. So I fed it entire books. But if you don't know what you're looking at in that particular context, in that particular system, keeping in mind it's probably not as prevalent as therapy, it actually makes mistakes. And because I know how to read the charts, because I know how this and this and this connects, I could go back through and go, yeah, that's not correct. That needs to be changed. Now, I was generating, and I was requested to generate charts, and they were allowed to be AI generated. And what I did was I used them to pull out the basics because I just needed basic one pages. And then I went through looking at the chart and I personalized it for each person. I was doing 7 quick charts for another coach. If I had not known what I was doing, and there are a lot of coaches out there doing stuff like this, right? If I had not known what I was doing with that particular system, I would have given incorrect information to someone. I also tried to get AI, because I was playing with it to see what I could teach it, what I needed to teach it. I tried to get it to generate a circuitry construct, and it failed miserably. It actually couldn't do it at all. Whereas when you're a human being and you read the chart, the way you put the mathematics to get together in your head is a skilled format you learn by reading a lot of charts and interacting with a lot of people and seeing how that plays out, but also understanding the channels and how the channels might come together. And AI couldn't do that at all, but it pretended it could. It totally pretended it could. So funny, Google has all the answers. Well, Google now has an AI that's actually worse than ChatGPT. If you ask Google AI something, I'm just reading Dean's comments here. If you ask Google AI a question, it can quite often give you a much lower grade answer than ChatGPT, that's for sure. And sometimes it's just like, wow, that was just, I don't even know what you answered there. That was just pathetic, you know? So I prefer the old Google, I have to say. So anyway, thank you, Dean, for your input. Knowledge versus wisdom. Oh, Simran, can you, with the AI, is it knowledge versus wisdom? Well, like I said, according to my client and someone else with regards to therapy, I think because the pool of knowledge to draw from on a therapy basis is so thick, well established, well used, there's lots of writing, etc. There's a lot of wisdom there. And this is me just spitballing, I don't know, not certain here, but it would make sense to me that because the pool of knowledge is so big that AI can draw from, many people have tested it and found that using chat as your therapist is very effective and pretty much flawless. I mean, the people I know that have tested it have not found it to have any flaws and have tried. On the note of something like wisdom, yeah, definitely, Dean. I don't know if you can see that, Simran. On the note of something like something more esoteric, something more channeled, you know, like I give channeled responses to my clients. I don't just give a human being is X and this is how the psychology of it works. I look at a chart, I penetrate into a person, and there are great therapists out there who are, of course, projectors, and this is our mechanism, is that we can see into you. That's more than using a textbook and schooled and over time educated through just really honing the knowledge. Not saying that wisdom can't be built there by any design, because that's not true either. And there are projected channels in most charts, but that a projector in and of itself is designed for a very specific thing. And you cannot replace that with AI. So yeah, there is a wisdom there, but there is also a mechanic there that mechanically AI just doesn't have. Same with projected channels in any other design. Those projected channels are designed to be recognized and invited, and they bring a wisdom that has a projected quality to it. It's not quite the same when it's run in a different design, but each design has its purpose. And yeah, maybe that is the wisdom of it, is that you cannot replace the wisdom of being in aura with a person or actually spending time with a person. It is very different. I do think the therapy thing, though, is a curly one, and it will be really interesting to see if and when they create real learning AI, what that even looks like for this conversation. So, yeah. But inner ear, the 4323, if you have this channel, it is worth just noticing when something sounds off to you, because you are literally watching your mechanism work. And it's so funny for me because I don't even doubt it for a second anymore. It's just something goes, and I'm like, it's how I can tell someone has an undefined, like sometimes it's how I can tell someone has an undefined mind, is their certainty and how out of place it sounds. It's so funny. I'm just reading Simran's message. She says, I feel our humanity, our wisdom gets a chance, incredible resource, but then is also balancing our needs, resonating. Hang on. Resonating frequency. Well, and there's the thing, right? I think frequency is such a good conversation because the 4323 is a frequency resonant channel. It is literally vibrational, as are all of the mutational channels. And so there is this quality of the hum, and everything is frequency. And I think we can all agree that there's something about the frequency of AI that's intriguing, but oddly foreign, oddly off, oddly something. And I think the thing that I find most disconcerting about it is there's lots of times when you read something it's like, well, that sounds correct, but something just doesn't. It's like, it's disturbing in a way. It's really funny because it doesn't have humanity in it yet. But what about that line where we managed to create something that's essentially got the qualities that we attribute to being human, that it can learn, it can hold empathy, where is the line between manufactured and alive? You know, like, and can you be manufactured and alive? Well, I mean, what is a test tube baby? You know, like, what is IVF? Like, the lines start to get very blurry as we go down this line. I don't know if any of you have seen the movie The Life of Chuck. A friend of mine recommended it to me, who's a fascinating character. And there's this scene in it where it outlines that we are if the life of the Earth and our solar system was in 24 hours, then we are in the last 10 seconds of the last minute of that life in that 24 hours. And we're really quibbling over, dollars, like cents and change, pennies at this point. And so we're really at an interesting height for our evolution. And in human design, Ra said we've got about 1,300 years left. The 9-centered being that we've been transitioning into, that is finally going to be fully ripened and born from 2027. And that's not going to be everyone, but we're going to start to see them according to the legend. That eventually becomes an 11-centered being. But he's like, we never make it to the 11-centered being. We're never going to get there. We're at the end. This is, the 9-centered being is about enlightenment. It's not about fear and survival anymore. So, I mean, we're getting to see an element of human life that is, it's kind of wild. Just want to read where I'm at. Dean, man wants to make things easier. AI, on the flip side, is that using one's brain less, you become less intelligent. Was something that came up in the discussion that I had was the dishonesty, actually. And I think in the day and age that we're in, I think making an assumption that someone might use AI is kind of reasonable. It is, and the cat's finally gotten off me too. I will go to bed, but I'll finish this and then I'll sign out. Thank you, Dean. Is that to use AI to comment on a post on Facebook without really even putting any of your stuff in there. So, it's 98%, and you can ask AI how generated something is. It's 90% generated or whatever it is. It's like, if it's a technical thing and you were like, I just need the technicals of this, can you spurt that out for me? I'm like, yeah, that's okay. Because sometimes writing all that shit down, it's like, if you know what you want and you ask AI for it and it gives it to you nice and succinctly and you can post it, because it was like, I needed a technical backlog. That's totally reasonable. Like, sometimes doing that stuff is just going to take you time you don't need to spend, and you know what you wanted, right? I don't see that as disingenuous. I do see that as efficient. If you use it to respond to my question, Dean, you and I have had lots of responses over the last couple of days. If I use that to respond to your stuff and you feel like you're talking to a robot, why the fuck would you talk to me? Right? Now, I in the background went and questioned that situation, and I just went, yo, hey, I know that that's an AI generated response because I've played enough with AI to recognize its pentameter. I can hear it in that 4323. And they lied. And that was where it was like, I would have just gone, yeah, I'm a coach, and yeah, I cut a corner, no big deal. And it's like, the lie is, it's not really a big deal, but when you're trying to create connection with people and you're selling yourself, it's like, at least sell your integrity there, at least bring your integrity in at some point, and I think that was a super interesting moment for me. I just took a pause and I was like, oh, we really have to be careful with this, because it's so easy just to use AI for everything. And it really is problematic at the point where it jeopardizes your integrity within your business, I'm just reading. You need to go to bed. Simran, participating, witnessing, and creating and resonating sound. Something we can do with chat with a group of people and by yourself. Playful and powerful. Loved hearing your voice. Yeah, like Simran so poetically said and humanly said, and you can definitely tell. And until AI gets to that point where it doesn't all sound the same, you can tell the difference between a human being and not. And I value the fact that you guys are on here chatting to me and inputting as human beings, because fuck, at some point, what the fuck do we have left? We're all going to be stuck in our houses hiding from diseases or war or whatever the fuck is going to happen next. And it's like, yeah, we'll just use AI to communicate, because why have any connection at all? Okay, I'm going to stop ranting now. Thank you guys so much. It was nice to interact. And by all means, feel free to comment more or whatever after this. I feel like it may be a topic that resurfaces. There've been so many topics I haven't even talked about in the last couple of days, because I just don't get the time to do them all. But lovely. Have a nice night. Sleep well. And I'll see you all again soon. Bye, Simran. Bye, Dean. And bye, whoever else is watching.